She came out of the canyon barefoot, bones showing under dust-caked skin, the hem of her dress ripped to shreds, one eye swollen shut, lip cracked, dragging a bruised foot through the gravel. The sun had no mercy, neither did the town. She stumbled past the saloon, men watching from their porches with whiskey in hand, but no one moved. Not a soul offered water. They knew who she was, or thought they did. Her voice rasped like wind through dead grass. "I'm nothing but dust." She collapsed behind a crate, back scraping splinters, hands curled like claws over her stomach, blood on her teeth, breath shallow. The barkeep shut the door. A woman in a bonnet crossed the street without looking. The sheriff glanced once, then turned his eyes away. They all knew her stepfather, Cain Mercer, the kind of man you don't cross if you want to live to see harvest. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her last drink was creek water shared with coyotes. Her arms bore the fingerprints of a man who never loved her. Her back, the stories of his rage. Cain had dragged her to the edge of hell and left her there. Said if she ran again, he'd sell her. She believed him. So she ran. The sun beat down as if God himself were watching, doing nothing. Buzzards circled low. She didn't move. Somewhere in the distance, hooves echoed. Faint at first, then closer. A horse slowed to a trot. A man dismounted. Boots crunched dry soil. He knelt beside her, shadow falling over her face. She flinched, weak. He spoke low. "You alive?" Her eyes barely opened. "Don't take me back." He looked at her, really looked. Saw what they'd all ignored. Not a girl in rags, a soul barely holding on. He took off his duster coat, wrapped it around her shoulders. She whispered again, "Please, not the dress." He didn't ask why. He just nodded, lifted her into his arms like a child long forgotten by the world, and carried her into the light. Not one man from that town moved a muscle, but the dust did. It followed him as he walked, like it knew she'd just been saved from it. The horse moved slow, careful over the uneven trail, her body slumped across the saddle, barely held upright by the rancher's arms. Blood had dried at the nape of her neck, crusted into the folds of her torn dress. Her skin was hot, fevered, burning like coals under parchment. The desert wind kicked up dust devils behind them. Buzzards still circled, disappointed now. Eli McCrae didn't speak, didn't need to. His jaw was clenched, eyes fixed ahead on the narrow trail winding up toward his ranch. He'd seen wounded calves, dying men, even his wife in childbirth. But this girl, she was something else. Not broken, wrecked. She stirred once, a whimper in her throat. Her lips cracked open. Water? Barely a breath. He uncorked the flask from his saddlebag, held it to her mouth. She took one sip, choked on the second. "Easy," he murmured. "You're all right now." But her eyes flickered wide, panic setting in. She clutched at her chest, her voice thin and broken. "Don't touch my dress. Please, don't." He froze. "I ain't." He paused, swallowed hard. "Ain't gonna hurt you." She passed out before he could say more. They rode on. Hours passed, like smoke on the wind. The sun dipped low behind the hills, stretching their shadows long across the canyon. When they reached the ranch, Eli didn't take her to the house. No time. The barn was closer, cooler, cleaner than the saloon floor she'd collapsed on. He lifted her down, careful as glass, and carried her inside. The horses nickered softly as he laid her on the work table. Dust floated in the lantern light like old ghosts. She looked so small there, limp, filthy, silent. He grabbed water, a clean cloth, his hunting knife. Then he hesitated. Her words echoed again. "Don't touch my dress." He didn't know what, but he felt it. Whatever was beneath that cloth was worse than anything he'd seen in war. Still, she needed help, needed cleaning, needed air on that skin. He held the blade steady. With one slow motion, he slid the knife down the back of her dress. And what he saw beneath made his breath catch like a bullet in the throat. This wasn't just a girl running from pain. This was someone left for dead. The barn was quiet, but for the soft creak of wood and the low snort of horses in their stalls. Lantern light flickered along the walls, casting shadows like long, crooked fingers. Outside, coyotes howled at the moon, but inside, it was deathly still. Eli stood frozen, the knife still in his hand. The back of her dress had peeled away like old bark, revealing raw, torn flesh, welts layered over bruises, some fresh, some faded yellow, scars twisted across her spine like old barbed wire, and on her lower back, a brand, burned into her skin. A letter M. He dropped the knife. It clattered against the wooden floor. Sweet Lord. She stirred, not fully awake, but enough to feel the cold air on her skin. Her voice came soft, barely there. Don't. Look at me. He turned his face away, jaw tight. She tried to sit up, failed. Her arms gave out beneath her. I'll leave, she said. Just don't tell nobody what you saw. You ain't going anywhere, Eli said quietly. She looked at him now. Really looked. His eyes weren't filled with pity or disgust, just a stillness, a quiet kind of rage. He wet the cloth in the basin and sat beside her. This is gonna sting. She didn't flinch when he touched the cloth to her skin, didn't make a sound, not even when he pressed into a gash deep enough to see muscle. He cleaned, slow and steady, jaw clenched so tight it looked like stone. After a while, she broke the silence. He told me if I ever ran, I'd wish I hadn't. Eli didn't speak. He said I was marked, said nobody would take me in, said I was used up. He kept cleaning, steady as the ticking of the old clock above the barn door. He lied, Eli said. I'd finally. Her breath hitched, just a little, but he heard it. She leaned back against the wall, wrapped in a wool blanket now, her eyes half closed. Why'd you stop? She asked. He looked at her. What? Running? Riding? Leaving me there? He stood, looked toward the door. 'Cause I ain't that kind of man. And he walked out into the night, leaving the lantern burning beside her. Not for light. For hope. Morning broke slow, dragging gold light across the barn slats. Dust danced in the air like it had purpose. The girl, Willa, sat on the cot, legs folded beneath her, blanket pulled tight. Her skin was pale, her eyes darker than the bruises still healing on her arms. Eli placed a tin plate near her feet. Biscuits, still warm. She didn't reach for them. You gotta eat, he said, not unkindly. She looked up, wary. Poison in it? She muttered. No. Wouldn't be the first time. He didn't answer, just walked out, leaving the door open. Later he found her in the stall, brushing his mare, weak but steady. Her fingers trembled as they moved through the horse's mane. The animal didn't flinch. You like horses? Eli asked. She nodded. They listen. Most folks don't. He handed her a bridle. You know how to work one of these? She took it without hesitation, like it was the first thing in weeks that made sense. That afternoon he let her sit beside him on the porch. No talk, just the sound of wind through the grass and boots on wood. Her eyes scanned the horizon, never resting too long. You looking for someone? He asked. Always. When evening fell, she tried to bake bread, followed the recipe exactly, or so she said. The loaf came out black on the bottom, raw on top. She stared at it like it had cursed her. Then she dropped to the floor and cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, helpless sobs. Eli crouched beside her. It's just bread, he said. She shook her head. No, it's me. Can't even get this right. You've been through hell, he whispered. but hell didn't win. She looked up at him, eyes red, face streaked with ash and flour. I'm nothing but broken. I'm nothing but broken. He paused, then said it plain. You ain't dust, Willa. You're fire. She didn't believe it, not yet, but the way her hand gripped his sleeve, it said maybe she wanted to. And outside, the wind changed direction, just a little. The town stirred uneasy when the wagon rolled in, wheels creaking like old bones. Dust rose behind it like smoke from a grave. On the driver's seat sat Kane Mercer, coat torn, hat crooked, and a bottle clutched in one fist like it was gospel. His grin was crooked, yellow teeth, empty soul. He cracked the reins and spat. Time to collect what's mine. Folks stopped what they were doing. Eyes flicked to the saloon, the church steps, the sheriff's office. Whispers rose like steam off hot ground. Kane slapped a folded paper on the sheriff's desk. She's my ward. Ran off, took my property, my horse, my coat. I want her back. Sheriff Anders didn't blink, just unfolded the paper. A family deed. Half legit, half lies, like everything Kane ever touched. She's staying with Eli McCrae, Anders said. Ain't hurting nobody. Kane leaned in close, stank of sweat and liquor. You think a rancher makes the law now? You want her? Anders said slowly. You go ask him yourself. Kane's grin widened. That night the air was heavy, no crickets, no breeze. Willa sat by the barn window, eyes scanning the dark. She felt him before she saw him. Out past the fence, Kane sat on his horse, silhouetted by torchlight. He wasn't alone, 2 riders beside him, faces hidden by hats. His voice rolled across the field, smooth and rotten. Evening, sweetheart. Thought you could run from blood. Eli stepped from the porch, rifle resting against his shoulder. She's not yours. Kane laughed. She's marked, branded, mine in name and blood. You come past that fence, Eli warned, and I swear by the sky I'll bury you where you stand. Kane spit into the D. You really think she's worth dying over, rancher? Eli didn't answer. Didn't need to. Kane gave a long stare, then pulled his horse around slow. Storm's coming, McCrae. Then he vanished into the dark, torchlight swallowed by the hills. Willa's knees gave out the second he was gone. Eli caught her before she hit the floor. She didn't cry, didn't speak, but she knew. This time, Kane wouldn't be coming alone. Dawn never came. The wind rose first, dry and sharp, dragging dust across the ranch yard like warning. Horses whinnied restless in their stalls. Willa sat by the window in Eli's cabin, staring into the dark that never seemed to lift. Her hands trembled on the mug of coffee she hadn't touched. Then, a knock at the door. Eli opened it to Sheriff Anders, coat pulled tight, eyes heavy. Kane's in town, he said, flashing that deed like it's scripture. Got folks whispering. Law's blurry on this one, Eli. She ain't going back, Eli said, firm, cold. Anders nodded. You'll need to be ready. That night, Willa tried to leave. She packed what little she had into Eli's saddlebag, crept to the barn in silence, but he was already there, sitting in the shadows, cleaning his rifle by a lantern light. You ain't running, he said. I won't be the reason your ranch burns. Eli stood, slow. You're not. She looked at him, eyes wide, shoulders shaking. I'm not worth this. You are. One word, steel and mercy. He stepped forward, placed the rifle into her hands. Then fight. By nightfall, every gate was locked, every rifle loaded, lanterns dimmed low. The ranch waited. And then they came. Horses crested the hill like shadows rising from the earth. 5 riders, Kane at the front, torch in one hand, pistol in the other. He didn't yell this time. He just rode in, slow and sure, like a man convinced the land already belonged to him. Bring her out, Eli, he barked. Last chance. Eli stepped onto the porch, shotgun raised. She's not yours. Kane fired first. The blast missed, cracked wood behind Eli's head. Chaos followed. Bullets flew, horses screamed, lanterns shattered. One outlaw charged the barn, kicked the door open, and found Willa waiting. She held Eli's rifle like she'd done it her whole life. Fired once. The man fell. Her ears rang. She didn't stop. Outside, Eli fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Blood on his sleeve, sweat in his eyes, but still standing. Just when it seemed the ranch would fall, a second gunshot rang from the ridge, then another. Voices shouted in the distance. Sheriff Anders and 3 deputies rode in, guns drawn. The tide turned in seconds. Kane turned to run, but a bullet shattered his stirrup, sent him crashing into the dirt. He didn't move. And Willa? She walked toward him, rifle still in hand. No fear, no tremble. Just fire.